The bag of flour in your pantry may not be what it used to be. Beloved brands have quietly changed hands, moved their mills, shrunk their bags, and kept ingredients that Europe banned decades ago. And almost none of it was announced to the people baking with it every week. But honesty first, most of these changes are legal, and most of your flour is perfectly safe to bake with. This is about what quietly shifted and why it matters, using documented recalls, public ownership records, and the labels themselves, not rumor. Some of it will genuinely surprise you. So before we start, hit like and subscribe. Let's get into it. 1. White Lily. Start with the change that broke Southern hearts. White Lily, founded in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1883, was the legendary biscuit flour of the American South, milled from soft red winter wheat to a low, roughly 9% protein that made pillowy, tender biscuits nothing else could match. Then in 2008, after the brand was acquired by Smucker, the historic Knoxville mill was shut down and production moved north to the Midwest. The change was big enough that the New York Times covered the uproar, as Southern bakers insisted the flour that came out of the new mills was simply not the same. Whether the recipe changed or the wheat and milling did, an institution moved 1,000 miles, and its most loyal customers were never really asked. So while White Lily is still sold on the same heritage and the same tall white bag, that quiet mill move raises a question the nostalgia is designed to prevent. When a flour defined by one region's wheat and one historic mill is suddenly made 1,000 miles away, are you buying the same product or the same label wrapped around something new? To be fair, the company has always maintained that the flour is still made to the same specification, and many bakers cannot tell any difference in a blind test. So this is partly about perception and loyalty as much as chemistry. But that is exactly what makes it such a perfect first example. A flour's magic can live in things a spec sheet does not capture: the specific wheat, the specific mill, the specific water. And when all of those move 1,000 miles at once, the burden of proof that nothing changed falls on the company, not on the heartbroken baker who swears their biscuits are different now. The White Lily story also captures something true about food and memory that goes far beyond biscuits. When a product is woven into family tradition, Sunday dinners, a grandmother's recipe, a region's identity, any change to it feels like a small betrayal. Whether or not a lab could measure the difference, that emotional weight is real and worth respecting, not dismissing, because it is exactly why companies lean so hard on unchanged packaging and heritage stories. They know the feeling of continuity is often worth more to loyal customers than the specification on the back ever could be. 2. Gold Medal. Gold Medal, made by General Mills, is the best-selling flour in America, the default bag in millions of kitchens. But what changed here is its safety record. Gold Medal has been at the center of a striking run of recalls, and most home bakers have no idea how often it has happened. In 2016, Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, traced to a General Mills plant, triggered one of the largest flour recalls in U.S. history. In 2019, Gold Medal unbleached flour was recalled after salmonella was detected in sampling, and in April 2023, General Mills recalled 2, 5, and 10-pound bags of both bleached and unbleached Gold Medal all-purpose flour after another salmonella outbreak. The bag looks exactly as it always has, but the recall history behind it is not something the packaging advertises. So while Gold Medal is sold on being the trusted, all-American, everyday standard, that recall record quietly raises a question the familiar packaging is designed to prevent. When the most popular flour in the country keeps turning up in outbreak investigations, why is raw flour still treated by most people as harmless? The deeper point here is not that Gold Medal is uniquely bad, because it is not. It is that raw flour as a whole is far riskier than its wholesome image suggests. Flour is a raw agricultural product, milled from wheat grown in open fields where animals and their bacteria roam, and it receives no kill step before it reaches your bag. Gold Medal shows up in these stories most often largely because it is the most sold flour in the country, so by sheer volume, it is the most likely to be caught in any given outbreak, which is a lesson about the product category as much as the brand. 3. King Arthur. King Arthur is one of the most respected names in American baking, and here the change is a good one worth knowing, along with a caveat. King Arthur became 100% employee-owned, a rare and genuinely positive structural shift that gives the people making the flour a direct stake in its quality. But even King Arthur was not immune to the wheat supply problems of the era. In 2019, it had to recall select lots of its unbleached all-purpose flour tied to the same ADM milled wheat behind a multi-state E. coli outbreak, a recall that eventually expanded to include many 25-pound bags. It is a useful reminder that even a premium, unbleached, unbromated flour depends on a wheat supply chain it does not fully control, and that a trusted brand can still be caught by a problem upstream of it. So while King Arthur is sold on being the gold standard of careful, high-quality baking flour, that upstream recall quietly raises a question the premium reputation is designed to prevent. When even the most trusted name gets pulled into an outbreak by its shared supplier, how much of flour safety is really about the brand, and how much is about the wheat behind it? This is one of the most important and least understood facts in the entire grocery store. Many competing flour brands are milled from the same wheat at the same facilities by the same handful of giant milling companies like ADM. When a supplier's wheat is contaminated, it can surface simultaneously under a premium label, a bargain label, and a store brand. Because underneath the different bags, it is quite literally the same flour. The brand on the front tells you far less about where your flour actually came from than most shoppers assume. 4. Pillsbury, with its iconic Doughboy, feels like a timeless American institution, but the company behind the flour has changed in a way almost no shopper noticed. The U.S. baking business, including Pillsbury flour, was sold by Smucker and is now run by Hometown Food Company, which was created by a private equity firm, Brynwood Partners, in a roughly $375 million deal. That same reshuffle also caught Pillsbury in the recall wave. In 2019, Pillsbury flour, milled at a shared facility, was recalled over the same E. coli concerns that hit other brands, with thousands of cases pulled across eastern states. The friendly Doughboy stayed exactly the same on the bag, while the ownership, the milling, and the corporate structure behind him all quietly shifted underneath. So while Pillsbury is sold on decades of warm, familiar family kitchen branding, that ownership change quietly raises a question the mascot is designed to prevent. When a beloved brand is now a portfolio asset owned by a private equity firm, who is really making the decisions about the flour you have trusted for generations? None of this means private equity ownership automatically ruins a product, and it would be unfair to claim it does. Plenty of well-run brands sit inside investment portfolios, but it does change the incentives in ways worth understanding, because a firm that buys a portfolio of heritage brands is generally looking to run them efficiently and profitably, which can mean consolidating milling, trimming costs, and managing many old names as a single business. The friendly, independent character the mascot projects and the financial reality behind it are simply two very different things. 5. Martha White. Martha White, another cherished Southern baking name famous for its self-rising flour and cornmeal, changed in exactly the same silent way as Pillsbury, because it changed hands in the very same deal. It too is now a Hometown Food Company brand, part of that private equity-built portfolio assembled from Smucker's former baking business. This is the quiet story of the whole flour aisle, a handful of heritage Southern and American brands, White Lily, Martha White, Jim Dandy, Hungry Jack, and Pillsbury among them, that feel like independent institutions, but are now managed together under one corporate umbrella. The bags still carry their individual old-fashioned charm, but the company deciding their recipes, sourcing, and future is the same for all of them. So while Martha White is sold on down-home, generations of tradition Southern baking, that shared ownership quietly raises a question the folksy branding is designed to prevent. When several beloved names you think of as separate are actually one company's portfolio, how much of the variety on the shelf is real, and how much is just different labels on a shared operation? This illusion of choice is one of the most useful things to understand about the modern grocery store in general. Walking the baking aisle, you feel like you are choosing among a dozen independent competing companies, each with its own traditions and character, when in reality, several of those bags root back to the same parent, the same mills, and the same corporate decisions. Recognizing which brands are genuinely separate and which are siblings under one owner is the difference between real choice and the comfortable appearance of it. 6. Bob's Red Mill is trusted for its wholesome, natural, employee-friendly image, and here the change is deeply human. The company's beloved founder, Bob Moore, who famously signed the brand over to his employees, has passed away, marking the end of an era for a brand built almost entirely around one man's personal reputation. The good news, and it is genuine, is that Bob's Red Mill was already 100% employee-owned before his death, which is the structure most likely to preserve what made it special. Its flours remain unbleached and unbromated, and the ownership model gives workers a real stake in quality. Still, anytime a brand loses the founder who was its heart and conscience, it is fair to watch closely, because the person who guaranteed the standard is no longer there to guard it. So while Bob's Red Mill is sold on the folksy, trustworthy promise of its founder's face on every bag, that loss quietly raises a question the friendly image is designed to prevent. When the man who personally vouched for a brand is gone, does the promise on the package live on through the people who own it, or slowly fade into just another logo? It is worth being clear that this entry is included with respect rather than suspicion, because Bob's Red Mill did more right than almost any brand on this list. Handing the company to its employees before his death is precisely the kind of succession most likely to protect a brand's character, and there is no evidence of any decline decline. The honest note is simply that the era of a single, visible, trusted founder, personally standing behind every bag, has ended, and going forward, the promise rests on a structure and a culture rather than on one man's word, which is a real and worth watching change even when it is being handled about as well as it could be. 7. Bromated bakery flours, the gold medal lines. This is the change that never happened, and that is exactly the problem. Potassium bromate is a dough conditioner that Europe, Canada, and many other places banned decades ago over cancer concerns in animal studies, yet the United States still permits it, and it remains in certain flours right now. The professional and bakery lines are where it lingers. A recent investigation by a state attorney general specifically named bromated products, including gold medal All Aces bakery flour and gold medal Superlative baker's flour, and issued subpoenas seeking information about their sale, including to schools, alongside a handful of other bakery-grade bromated flours still on the professional market. The FDA still allows potassium bromate up to 75 milligrams per kilogram of flour, which means the bread you buy from a bakery could be made with something banned across the ocean, and nobody told you. So while bromated flour is sold to bakeries on the promise of a higher, fluffier, more reliable rise, that lingering additive quietly raises a question the finished loaf is designed to prevent. When a chemical is banned in Europe but legal in your bakery's flour, and it never appears on the bread you buy, how would you ever have known to ask? It is important to keep this proportionate and honest, because the science is genuinely debated rather than settled. Potassium bromate is classified as a possible human carcinogen based largely on animal studies, and in theory, it fully converts to a harmless compound during proper baking, so a correctly baked loaf may contain little or none of it. The reason so much of the world banned it anyway is a precautionary judgment. If a safer approach exists and the ingredient is not essential, why keep a possible carcinogen in the food supply at all? Reasonable experts can disagree, but the fact that you were never given the choice is the part that should bother you. 8. Bleached flour brands. Bleaching is one of the biggest changes hiding in plain sight, printed right on the bag in a single word most people skip past. Many mainstream all-purpose flours, including standard white lily and common gold medal and Pillsbury lines, are chemically bleached with agents like benzoyl peroxide or chlorine to whiten the flour and soften its proteins faster than natural aging. The honest picture here is nuanced and worth stating fairly. Bleaching is legal and considered safe by the FDA, and it genuinely changes how flour behaves, weakening proteins in a way that helps tender cakes and biscuits, which is part of why white lily bakes the way it does. But it is still a chemical treatment many bakers prefer to avoid, and the simple fact is that unbleached flour exists right beside it for the same price. The word bleached is doing a lot of quiet work on that label. So while bleached flour is sold on being brighter, whiter, and more consistent, that chemical step quietly raises a question the clean white bag is designed to prevent. When the difference between bleached and unbleached is one small word most people never read, how many other one-word changes on your food are you walking right past? There is a genuinely useful, practical takeaway buried in the bleaching question beyond any health debate. Because bleaching weakens proteins, bleached and unbleached flour do not behave identically in a recipe. So this is not only a purity preference, it actually affects your results. Unbleached flour tends to have slightly more structure, which many bakers prefer for bread and sturdier bakes, while the softening from bleaching suits some tender cakes and biscuits. Knowing which one is in your bag and choosing on purpose rather than by accident quietly makes you a better baker. 9. Enriched flour and what got added. Here is a change so old and so universal that most people have no idea it is even happening. Enrichment. Nearly all standard white flour in America, gold medal, Pillsbury, King Arthur, store brands, and more, is enriched, meaning nutrients stripped out during milling are added back, along with folic acid mandated by law since the late 1990s. This one is genuinely a good change, and honesty means saying so clearly. Adding folic acid to flour dramatically reduced serious birth defects and is considered one of the great public health successes of modern food policy. The point is not that enrichment is bad, it is that a significant, deliberate modification is made to almost all your flour, and most people have never once thought about the word enriched on the bag or wondered what it actually means. So while enriched flour is sold, silently, as simply normal flour, that added nutrition quietly raises a question the ordinary bag is designed to prevent. When even a beneficial change to nearly all your flour passes completely unnoticed, how much else about the most basic food in your pantry have you simply never stopped to question? The enrichment story is included deliberately as the counterweight to everything else in this video, because not every unannounced change is a bad one. It is a powerful reminder that quiet does not automatically mean sinister. A change can be silent, universal, unnoticed, and genuinely good for you all at once. The real lesson is not that hidden changes are always harmful, but that we tend not to examine our staples at all, which leaves us equally blind to the changes that help us and the ones that do not. Awareness cuts in both directions, and honesty requires celebrating the good changes as clearly as we flag the questionable ones. 10. The incredible shrinking bag. End with the change hitting every brand at once and hitting your wallet directly. The bag itself is shrinking. Across the grocery grocery store, and flour is no exception, manufacturers have quietly reduced package sizes while holding or raising the price, a practice so common it earned its own name, shrinkflation. The 5-pound bag that was a fixed landmark of American baking for generations can no longer be taken for granted, with more sizes appearing below it and prices per ounce creeping upward. It is a change designed to be hard to notice because the bag looks familiar and the price looks stable, while the amount inside quietly falls. Nobody sends an announcement that your flour got smaller. You are simply expected not to check. So while a bag of flour is sold on looking like the same dependable staple it always was, that shrinking size quietly raises a question the familiar packaging is designed to prevent. When the price holds steady, but the bag holds less, are you really paying the same for your flour, or just being charged more in a way engineered to slip past you? Shrinkflation works precisely because it exploits how our memory of prices actually functions. We remember the price of a familiar item far more reliably than we remember its exact size. So a company can hold the price steady, shave a few ounces off the package, and most shoppers will register the reassuring old number without ever noticing the smaller amount behind it. The single defense is almost absurdly simple and completely reliable. Ignore the price on the front of the bag and read the price per unit on the shelf tag, because that little number is the one thing shrinkflation cannot hide behind. So 10 changes and almost none of them announced. Step back and the pattern matters more than any single item. Here's what to actually do with all of it. What actually works. Reading the bag like a pro. The good news is that flour is one of the easiest foods to shop smartly because almost everything you need is right on the bag. Choose unbleached and unbromated when you can. Both are printed clearly on brands like King Arthur and Bob's Red Mill. And for bakery bread, it is completely fair to ask whether the flour is bromated. Check the price per ounce, not the price per bag, because that single number cuts straight through shrinkflation and tells you what you are truly paying. And match the flour to the job, reaching for low-protein soft wheat flour, like White Lily for tender biscuits and higher-protein bread flour for chewy loaves. On safety, one habit matters most, and it surprises people every time. Do not eat raw flour. Raw flour is not a ready-to-eat food. It is a raw agricultural product that has caused real E. coli and salmonella outbreaks, which is the thread running through half of this video. So no tasting raw dough or batter. And heat treat flour before using it in no-bake recipes. Store it airtight and cool. Note that whole wheat flours go rancid faster because of their natural oils. And when a recall is announced, check the lot code on your bag rather than assuming it does not apply to you. And if you want the simplest way to know who really owns and makes your flour, the information is almost always a quick search away. The parent company, the milling company, and whether a flour is bleached, bromated, or enriched are all matters of public record and label law, not secrets. So a shopper who is even mildly curious can find out in about a minute. The changes in this video feel hidden, not because they are truly concealed, but because almost nobody bothers to look. And simply becoming the person in your household who does look is most of the battle, which means the decision, as always, is about information, not fear. Information. Here is the honest balance to carry out of this video, because flour rarely deserves panic. None of these changes means your flour is dangerous, and the vast majority of the flour on the shelf is perfectly good, safe, and often better than what your grandparents baked with, thanks to enrichment and modern milling. Recalls, while unsettling, are also evidence that the safety system is catching problems, and eating raw flour is the single biggest risk, one entirely within your own control. Anyone telling you flour has secretly become poison is selling fear, not facts. What is true and worth knowing is quieter. The brands you trust have quietly consolidated under private equity and big conglomerates. Historic mills have moved, bags have shrunk, and ingredients like potassium bromate that much of the world abandoned are still legal here, all while the packaging stayed comfortingly the same. The changes are real, they are mostly legal, and the only reason they feel like secrets is that nobody is required to announce them, and the familiar bag does the quiet work of making everything feel unchanged. There is also a broader lesson that reaches well past flour. The most basic, trusted staples in your kitchen are exactly the ones you scrutinize least, which makes them the easiest place for a quiet change to hide. A smaller bag, a new owner, a lingering additive, a relocated mill. The comfort of a familiar package is precisely what lets the thing inside it change without objection. And the fix is not paranoia. It is simply the habit of occasionally turning the bag over and reading it as if for the first time. So the practical version is short. Read the bag, not the brand. Watch for bleached versus unbleached, bromated versus unbromated, and the price per ounce rather than per package. Do those things and you keep baking with confidence, fully aware of what is really in the bag and who really stands behind it. If this changed how you see that bag in your pantry, go ahead and like it. It helps this reach the people who need to see it. Share it with the baker in your family who has used the same brand for 40 years and would want to know what quietly changed underneath it. And if you want more videos that pull apart what is really behind the everyday foods, most people never question, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the more clearly you understand how these decisions actually get made, the better the decisions you get to make for yourself. We will see you in the next one.